What's up, y'all? It's Dr. Paul with a special Liberty Hill Comics presentation of the Comic Book Conservators Father's Day edition, episode 61. Welcome,
61.
everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend, and I'm super thrilled to be here with you. We have not one, not two, three special guests, and I'm so glad to be surrounded by friends today. Say hi, guys.
Hey, everybody. Happy Father's Day. Dr. Paul, you are not at home.
No.
Where are you at?
Not at home. Oh, where am I at? Oh, you missed
Yeah.
last week. You didn't watch the rerun.
No,
I'm in my mom's basement.
You
Of
got in
course.
trouble. You're in trouble again. Well, I am in lovely Stuttgart, Germany today. I'm working, so it's about 2:30 in the morning. So I apologize for the bleary eyes, people. So I'm calling in from my lovely hotel room. So
Wow.
Nice. We
We're
appreciate
just happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here. It was a fortunate event that I got a 12-hour delay on my flight, so here I am.
There we go. And Phil, how was your week?
Hey. Good. As always, drowning in comics. As always, coming to you from the Brooklyn Queens line here in New York City. Excited for the show. Got a cool book to show in the B segment today. Happy to be here with you three gentlemen, and happy Father's Day to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very kind of you. And our returning guest champion, Shelby of Shelby's Comics. How are you?
What's up, man? More excited than Hound Dog on the 4th of July.
All right. Did Duran Duran have an album cover with a Nagel girl on it?
Yeah,
Wow. I did not know that.
yeah. They did several work with him during the early Rio era.
Awesome. We have an exciting show tonight. Shelby's going to kick us off with an A segment. A little bit
Yay.
casual, a little bit get caught up, a little hangout, a little interactive with the audience. And then Phantom Phil's going to bring us a B segment with the conservation of our thumbnail book, a delicious copy of a Golden Age Batman comic book. Before we get started, let's do a little housekeeping. We have some folks to thank for this episode, and it looks like we already have some folks to thank for next episode. Super appreciative. Thank you, everybody. This episode is brought to you ad-free if you're watching it live by Sales Boy Comics, You Pluck My Last Nerve, and Collecting Chaos. Thank you so much. We really
Thanks, everybody.
appreciate the super chat. And it allows us to bring this show to everybody ad-free if you watch it live. If you're watching it on replay on YouTube, thank you for viewing. You're watching ads, but such is life. Catch us live sometime, interact, have fun, and you won't have to be clicking through ads or skipping them. I'd also like to say thank you to all of the fathers out there for doing all of the father stuff that you do. Happy Father's Day to everyone, especially my dad, who I spent a bunch of today with. So we were busting knuckles and bleeding together and doing some cursing together and had a lot of fun in between.
Fantastic.
That stuff. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk about that later. And then I normally do shout outs right now, but I'm just going to skip right to thank you so much to Robbie Josephs, who says, have a great show and thank you for all your work. And Don Carter, thank you guys. If you're fathers, happy Father's Day. I'm not sure. And why don't we run down our regulars? Rom Space Night. That's my buddy Mike. Welcome. Lost in Wallace is a regular. Drew a ROM cover for IDW a few years ago at ROM Space Night. It was also used for the cover of the trade paperback. But wow, I did not know we had a professional artist in the house. Thanks, Lost, for sharing that.
I wish we could bring back Rom.
Somebody will. Lawson says you can Google my name plus ROM and find it via an image search. Wow, that's fun.
Cool.
Robbie says, question, I was looking at some slabs for sale, and the ones I saw that were conserved all looked brighter. Is this something you see in your work? Thank you.
Fair
Larry,
question.
you want to answer that?
Well, yeah, a lot of them basically the stuff that I've conserved is all of it's cleaned. I mean, we deacidify, and during that process, you're going to lose some of that filth that's accumulated over the 60, 70, 80 years, and it will pop quite a bit.
Yeah.
Fun. Let's see who else we have here. We have Rom saying happy Father's Day to everybody. Pluck My Last Nerve says happy Father's as well. Collecting Chaos says good, I'm not late today. We started maybe like 3 minutes late. We got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, it takes a bit to get this group together at the last minute.
There's a lot
get
of tech
everything
going
working.
on.
Yeah, there's
Finally
stuff
tuned
going on
in.
behind the scenes.
Rick Nexter says, let's rock and roll, gentlemen. The aforementioned Don Carter says hello. Our buddy Jason, Archivist Adrift, is here. Ben Stewart says good evening. Vulu says hi. Coverless copy of the Atom. Now he's on the lookout for the cover. If you have a cover to the Atom number 2.
I just sold my number 2 about 4 months ago. I did find a number 3 though.
Collecting Chaos is looking for one. And AG, welcome.
What's up, Aubrey?
Let's see, Lawson says it's the first sci-fi Batman. Batman and Robin actually go to Mars to solve a Martian murder mystery. Fun. I don't know if that's true or not. Jason, my daughter and her friend wrote that bass line and performed it and recorded it, and I actually paid them for it. So it's mine now. But thanks for noticing. I really enjoy it. The professor, Peter Lachey's here. He says, hi, everybody. Happy Father's Day. Thank you, Peter.
Hey, Professor.
Happy Father's Day to you.
And for Lost, and my haircut is bed hair. I just climbed out of bed. I did manage to put pants on today.
Nice.
So
We were supposed to wear
Hey, what's up,
pants.
Jeff?
yes, we're supposed to wear pants, Shelby. So
Jeff Wedding says hi to everybody.
Nice.
You know what? You dropped for me for just a second. Did you say you're in Stuttgart?
yeah.
Oh, nice. I thought I heard that, and I said, I don't know. I don't want to carry on about it.
Stuttgart.
Stuttgart, yeah. We may have purchased a car that was manufactured in Stuttgart.
Stuttgart. Yes, it is
And
the
a
center
pleasure to
for
drive.
manufacturing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I am actually flying for that company today.
Oh, nice. Ben
Yeah,
Stewart is here. Maybe you can just detour that aircraft over here and drop them off, and we'll have fun. Oh, actually, just maybe we should do it there because we can hit the Autobahn. The Autobahn. Okay, I think I may have said hi to everyone who's here.
Yeah, Lawson said he's working on some Charlton ghost books, and I be careful with them Charltons, man. Those things are like tissue paper. I have
Very unforgiving.
I hate having to deal with them. I've done a couple of them, but great books to learn on for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't do your Peacemaker #1.
Actually, it's Fighting 5 number 40 that you got to worry about.
Yeah, I just found some mini ghosts of Dr. Graves books.
Oh, yeah. What a fun book. All right. So Gorilla Monkey 3K is also here. Welcome. why don't we jump into our A segment and get the show on the road
Shelby,
now that
what do
we've
you got for us?
welcomed everybody? And
Yeah, just gonna give a little bit of an update. I know Dr. Paul and I talk quite often. Of course, being friends and co-authors of this amazing book over here. What? And yeah, so if you haven't purchased a copy, they are available on Amazon. I know someone's just asking a question about seeing the color difference with conserved books. And this is definitely a lot more than just a how-to book. It's kind of a little bit of history, a little bit of science, and just a lot of fun to read, I hope. So definitely pick that up. But I know we haven't been posting a lot lately, and I just want to give you a little bit of an update on your friendly neighborhood conservationist.
Yay!
Phil, can you advance slides for Shelby? You can do that, right?
I sure can.
That would be awesome. I have something I want to try to do while we're live.
Shelby, just give me a cue and I'll get you for each one.
I got you. So why no videos? Well, Paul and I, life has been happening. Putting out this book was definitely a labor of love, but dealing with printers and fulfilling almost 200 orders through Kickstarter and everything, just it took a lot out of both of us. Having to get together, do a lot of signing, like I said, is great and stuff, but definitely took a lot out of us, a lot more than what we anticipated. But we are so happy of the response and everything that goes along with this. I'm not going to really get into what's going on with Paul, but I'm still looking for a job. So that's been taking some time, and due to that, I'm actually in the process of moving. So you're seeing a lot of this change over the next couple of weeks if I'm back on the show. Oh, and why I'm doing this is because people saw me on the show last week. Several people reached out, told me how much they missed me, and I really appreciate all of you that reached out and said hi to me and to let me know I was missed. So thank you so much.
You are missed, Shelby.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we are not going to hit that July deadline. That is one thing I was going to talk about. I'll go ahead and mention it now. Paul and I discussed it, and we thought that might be a little bit too soon of an overlap between the last book and this one. So we are looking probably more like an early fall date for that. But I will discuss that in just a little bit. So yes, I am moving. I'm packing up, and you will be seeing probably a mega What's in the Box show, because I just emptied out 7 short boxes, and all those books are loaded in the SUV to be taken to an LCS to find new homes. So
Shelby, are you going to stay in the Houston area?
I am not.
Oh.
I'm probably going to be moving back to Louisiana, North Louisiana, closer to some family, and for the time being, till I can get the job situation straightened out. So
Okay.
Yeah. Which will be great, though. I then get an avenue to a whole new group of conventions that I'll get to go to. Those on the East Coast.
Very good.
So,
Very good.
All right, so go ahead and jump ahead there, Phil. So updates. The book is fully written. Chapters 1 and 2 are complete. Paul and I have reviewed those, gone through them. We got all the images and stuff we need. We are in the process of editing the rest of the book. We're still needing some images, Phil.
That's right.
And we are putting together some special videos. We had some people reach out to us, and when we take some images from videos that are already posted on YouTube, we are giving QR codes in the book for you to jump to those videos. We do want to make some special how-to videos just for the book. We had several people reach out and from one of the last updates asking if that was going to be available. So we are working on that.
Excellent.
Go ahead, Mr. Phil.
Hey.
What else is happening? So Paul and I did work with Captain Mike. I know that when we published this last book, a lot of people asked, had we talked to Captain Mike and such? Short answer was no, but since then we have actually met with Captain Mike and gotten to be pretty good friends with him. Super great guy. He did just publish his second edition of the CPR book. I hope I said that right. And a couple of months ago. So please go support Captain Mike and pick that up. It's a great resource that gets into a lot of details that we don't, such as presses, the actual physical presses and what you should look out for and how to set those up. It's a lot of details we didn't get into because we knew that Captain Mike's book served that purpose. So definitely go and support him. Now he is coming up with a second edition of his SRW book, which we have a pre-press copy here, and that's because we wrote a section in the book. So we worked with Captain Mike on helping him refine the practices for the uses of calcium hydroxide and best practices of hydrogen peroxide. And he asked us to, add to the book. And we're very happy to do that because we are always eternally grateful to Mike and his contributions to our hobby. And we're very flattered to have helped with that.
Absolutely.
So definitely go and support him and join his YouTube. I mean, not YouTube, but he does have a YouTube channel. I don't think he posts there much, but I meant Facebook group and support that. So go ahead there, Mr. Phil.
Hey.
All right, promoting conservation education. I know one thing I did this past year when I hit some cons is I kind of publicized our book, which I should do. And I learned really quickly that a lot of people just do not know what conservation is. They get confused with restoration, or they even get it confused with preservation. Or they just look at it as cleaning and pressing. And of course, it's none of those. We have been asked to go to many large cons. We were invited up to New York Comic Con to do a panel and set up a table, and several other cons. But again, life is happening. So even though we've been invited to these places and stuff, they're not going to pay for us. We still got to pay for our own plane ticket and airfare and things like that. They have been gracious to, give us a free table or something like that, which is could be a pretty large amount. But we hope to do better next year. I actually just talked to Susan Ciccone today to check on her. And, she still wants to do some things with us at cons. And Matt Nelson, I spoke to a couple of weeks ago, and he would love to see us promote the book a lot more and conservation in general at these cons.
Absolutely.
So we definitely are planning that. And hopefully next year, Paul and I will both be in a better place where we can do some kind of con tour with the book and promote education of conservation hobby. So go ahead, Mr. Phil. Products. So our next book that again hopefully we'll have out somewhere around fall is subtitled A Practical Guide for the Beginning Conservator. Therefore, we do plan on launching a basic toolkit, so to speak, of conservation products. We've had a lot of requests from people who have expressed a cheaper barrier of entry for products. If you want to go out and buy Tengujo, or if you want to buy Hollytex, those things are usually sold in rolls. And people don't want to make that investment of $80 to $100 or $120 in some cases, just to learn if they're really interested in conservation or not. In addition, people in other countries have been having trouble getting certain products shipped to them. So we will be planning a basic toolkit that you can purchase that will have all your beginning products that that you would need, like pre-mixed methyl cellulose. We've also found some wheat paste that is specially made that you don't need to screen and such. It's a special product that's put out that is a lot easier to mix. Even development trays. I've even found some places where I can get wholesale development trays where people can do aqueous baths and things, and I can get them cheaper and sell them cheaper to you in the toolkit than you can if you go out and buy them on Amazon, because they're about $40 to $50 on Amazon. And I've been able to find a good wholesale dealer for us on that. We are planning that, and we'll keep you updated how that will look like, or what they'll look like. I've got an Excel sheet. It's all put together with numbers and stuff. So, all right, Mr. Phil, I think I'm getting down to my last one. Creating our own products. Paul and I have been working to create a small line of our own products. As we've been doing conservation over the years, we still find areas that can be improved upon. For example, cold pressing plates. I've tried promoting through what Rick Morgan has with his drying plates, and tried promoting on videos of using those with the cutout circles of how you can dry. And hopefully that's helped some people and such. But there's some special products that we can create. Like, for example, Phil, I've always noticed and understand now why you have weights sitting on your desk behind you. And it's because
I need more.
I know I need more too.
For the making of the muscles.
Yeah.
I need more too. And it's because when you do a lot of cleaning, or you need something pressed down to hold steady, while you're laying Tengujo or something like that, those weights really come in useful to do that. And so, I've actually designed like some weights that can help do that. I've also designed, I taught myself Fusion 360, and I've actually done a prototype already that I'm refining, but what am I trying to say? A leaf casting tray. So, your barrier to entry into leaf casting, you can follow the Captain Larry and Jerry.
We have a race to the bottom for prices, right?
And
Jerry the Jitterbug wants everybody to know that he made his leaf casting table for $50 less than Larry did. Just to beat them both to the bottom, I actually made a leaf casting table out of a cardboard box that I got for free from the post office.
You did.
And actually, I shared the results with the guys.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have my receipts, but
Yeah.
it was literally free.
Yeah, but if you don't want to go out to your Home Depot and buy all that and put it together and stuff, I have designed one that can be 3D printed. Because if your probably cheapest leaf casting table, if you go to something pre-made, is around $1,000 or $1,200. I think that's what you paid, and it looks like I might can get some of these something high quality done for around $400 to $500, which will still get you somewhere between the Captain Larry and cheapest other thing you can find out there on the market. So, like I said, I do have a prototype of that, and working towards that. So hopefully as life slows down, we can devote more time and effort to this area to help really promote conservation, get some products out there to help better with that. And just support the hobby.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's great, Shelby.
Slide there.
Appreciate the update.
Oh, yeah, please contact us. We're always looking for more ideas or needs in the community. If you come across them, say, oh, this aggravates me. I wish we had this that I could use. Hey, let us know, because we definitely have access to a lot of things, CNC machines and 3D printers and things like that from some friends that we have in the community. And yeah, we'd love to know y'all's ideas. A blue light box. Now, I didn't want to step on Rick Morgan's toes, but Rick Morgan has a really great blue light box. Now, you probably want one fancy like Larry. And maybe one of these days I might sit down and in Fusion 360 or SketchUp kind of steal some of his ideas and put some plans together that you could even use, which is another idea too. We can create plans for some of these products with a parts list and all that, and maybe sell the plans for $5 or something. Just make a little bit of scratch to help us with some of these things. Also, there's only 8 reviews of our book on Amazon. Do you believe that, Paul? Do you believe that, Larry?
I wrote one of them.
I know you wrote one of them. You're not in the hot seat.
Me too.
And Phil wrote one. So please go out there and support us on this book. And if you want more information about the book, I'm sure there's plenty of people that'll tell you. I know some people did reviews. Peter Alachi, Jason did a review. I don't think Jerry ever put out a review yet. Our book is probably still sitting in a box somewhere on a shelf. But definitely, please go give us a review. Tell us how great we are. Just joking. But let us know if you enjoyed the book or not. And with that, I'm going to bid adieu.
Thank you, Shelby.
Lightbox.
Yeah, thanks for the update.
Lightbox with timer would be a good one. Now, you can buy a timer that will hook to your outlet. And
Sure.
That's what actually Rick Morgan uses.
That's what I use as well.
Yeah.
So,
For
you can get weight bags, and I've tried weight bags. I've tried. Phil has some cool old school
So,
metal
I got these from Talus.
Yes.
I use these quite a bit. They're
Those
very
are great.
convenient because they're almost the entire vertical length of a book. So if I'm doing something on the spine and I want to just put weight just on the spine, this is perfect. It's awesome.
Yeah,
I
nice.
use these all the
Nice.
time. Came in a 3-pack. But also, I mean, that is one of the beautiful things about what we're doing. In some ways, there's old things like the copy and letter presses that most people don't really have any use for except for us, specifically. Just like, who wants a paperweight? I do. This was a Christmas present. This was a Christmas present for my parents. And
Nice.
I never thought when I was a kid I'd be like, oh, what a sweet paperweight. But it says, Boston Mass on it, and it's one of those you can go antiquing and thrifting and get something like this for $5 or $10.
Yeah.
I'm
That is
looking
beautiful.
for those. You remember the old door stops that look like an iron?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want those, man. Those would be perfect for.
Those might have just been irons that people
For
used as
cold-
doorstops.
They were
Maybe.
irons.
They
They
were.
put them on top
Yeah,
of a stove to heat them up, and
Before
But
we plugged
they
irons in.
use them for door stops. Anyway, I would love to find those again. You see those all the time in your grandma's house, and I mean,
send them to Shelby.
yeah, I mean, those would be so great for cold pressing and things. So, but yeah, I've designed one that you can that's plexiglass that will kind of hold the book pages down, but then leave you space around the spine so you can actually have something to put your hand on and do your work up and down the spine and keep the book nicely pressed flat. and stuff, right? Because
That
that is
yeah.
again a need in the community. It's like
Yeah.
I'll sit there and I'll put my hands. If you've got a fragile book, I'm putting my hand down sometimes on the book, and then I'm creating other tears along the edges when I'm trying to, seal a tear. I mean, it's very aggravating. So
Yeah, right tools are important.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Morris Devereaux is here, and so is Rob. Welcome, gentlemen. If you guys would indulge me, I want to do just a really brief aside, non-comic book
Yes, we shall indulge.
What you got?
What do you got? What you got?
I have a bit of a confession to make. I have someone new in my life.
Oh,
Not actually new, someone that has been in my life for about 20 years, but has kind of become a bigger part of my life recently. And I'm spending more time with her. I'm spending time with her around my family. And it's taken up a lot of my time. And that's part of why I haven't been on YouTube with my own content quite as much. I used to affectionately call her my dirty little redhead, but she's not as dirty as she used to be. She's still a redhead.
nice.
And she's been taking up a lot of my time. And if you see her out and about around town, find me, because she doesn't leave the house unless I'm with her. So if you see her, come find me, say hi, and hopefully I'll see you maybe at Heroes Con. Who knows?
Damn, just a tease. I thought we were getting a little slideshow of that.
I hope you're having a little bit of fun.
Yeah,
with that.
I was just this redhead.
there's no interior. There's still no interior or anything in
Yeah,
there.
I'm gonna go on eBay after the show and just look at old cars that I'm like wishfully thinking about buying. That's sweet. What year is that
That's
again?
what I've been
for
spending my
crowd call?
time doing, and that's why I'm traveling at the moment. To we're about to take a cross country trip, the dirty little redhead and I. So I'm excited about that. Thank you. All right. Well, without further ado, let's
Oh my God!
get
Look
right
at this. You got the
into.
Bat Copter. You got the Bat Mobile.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know what I gotta say is the coolest thing about getting to work on this book is that the person that owns this book is someone I used to work with. So it was one of those.
Nice.
It was one of those like directly. So it's Rob Reynolds, who those that have done business at Heritage Comics know him as one of the newer consignment directors. He's been there for I think a little over a year. But a decade ago, I worked with him at Metropolis Comics and Comic Connect, where he was the director of consignments. And so having that relationship with him, working with him for a couple of years, taking a hiatus off from that, getting back into this work, and then kind of, staying in touch to some degree. He was gifted this book and reached out to me knowing that I do work and said, "Hey, what do you think you can do?" And I said, "Rob, I got you." So this book, for those that don't know, is the first detailed origin. Let me just jump into the next slide here, because this is the pertinent information here. So this is the first detailed origin of Batman, with a cover by co-creator Bob Kane and Charles Paris, and the story itself though is done and written by Bill Finger, who is arguably maybe viewed more favorably than Bob Kane. His contributions to Batman and I love Batman. I'm a Bat guy. So this was just a cool book to come in. It had some tape. It needed a dry clean and press. Nothing crazy, but well within my wheelhouse. So I was very happy when Rob reached out and.
Phil, you and I spoke regarding this cover, and I said, yeah, Batman is there. He's with Dick. And you said, no, that's Bruce Wayne. That's a young Bruce Wayne. So I'm familiar with this cover. I just never, other than sort of casually being aware of the cover, thought about it or looked into it. I haven't read it. I always thought that this was like the Batman over Dick's shoulder.
That's it.
And
No,
There's some
young,
ways.
young
I don't
Bruce
know why.
Wayne's. It says
Yeah.
Thomas Wayne.
no, I
on
get
the,
it.
on
I
the
get it now. I'm
newspaper.
saying I never looked at it in detail.
I see where you're coming
It's
from.
sort of
though,
like Batman with a small, dark-haired boy. What do you-
it looks
what
like
do you-
it'd be Robin.
It
Why
looks
would
like
you
it's
think
Batman
twice
and
about it?
Robin, right?
Yeah,
Robin
yeah.
out of costume.
Yeah, it's one of those meta covers, you know.
And it's got that beautiful store stamp.
So I learned
Oh, yeah.
something, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. And I mean, come on, who doesn't like one of these hardcore yellow Golden Age covers that just
Right.
pops
Yeah,
up?
yeah.
Yellow
Those
and
those
red.
solid yellow covers, they're
Awesome.
wonderful.
And you see them a lot more on, I feel like, DC books. A lot of the Superman, the early Supermans. I mean,
Oh,
the
yeah.
first 12 Superman, how many of those were yellow covers? Virtually all of them. So, sweet book. And the reds, man, look at the reds. Look at the colors on
Yeah,
this. This
the
book
red-
has some
yeah.
issues, but awesome colors.
It's a nice looking book, though.
Jason's got
Beautiful.
my back. He's the only one.
No problem.
Appreciate you.
So,
But this also shows some of the bad printing of the Golden Age with this miscut cover. You can see the edge of the white. I know that we've talked about it several times whenever
Yeah.
you're doing work with these Golden Age books, that the printing process and binding process was horrible.
terrible.
And
They were mass produced.
yeah,
Quality control was ixnay on the. I mean,
Yeah.
for those that don't
Look how
know,
crooked the ad is on the back cover, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, this is a slight spine roll. There really
Yeah.
isn't that much of a spine roll.
Yeah, it's not that much of one.
But to detail what Shelby's talking about, I mean, even just look at on the top right of the cover, you see that white strip. That's supposed to be cut up along that black line. That's not really
Yeah.
supposed to show there. So
Yeah.
you can see how that is
Yeah.
crooked. And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
if you
that's
really
a
wanna-
cut line.
if you really want to jump in, one of the, I don't know, I think kind of the cool things about looking at old books like this, if you go on eBay or the Heritage Archives or some other place that has a lot of photos of this book and you look at multiple copies, you'll see like, wow, look at the gap to the right of the Batmobile there. And it'll be significant. On some copies, it might be cut right up to it. So you start to realize that certain cuts show more art. And then astute collectors will know that and kind of chase after books that are showing more art or you have a more favorable cut.
Yeah, like we famously talked about for Tales of Suspense number 39. Oops.
Yep, that's one of the most
Yeah,
infamous
yeah,
examples.
that's a big
easily.
one.
Yep, exactly. So, oh yeah, yep. Pop up.
Yeah.
That was it. They were trying to sell these books. They're trying to get that dime from these kids.
The other thing is just checking these books
Lawson
against
says
the,
those yellow
the-
covers are borrowing from the Frank R. Paul yellow covers from the pulp mags, like Amazing Stories, Hugo Gernsback stuff, pop on the shelf.
But check the archives on these photos too, because that helps you determine whether you might have a trimmed book or not, which are starting to
Yep.
surface quite a bit lately. I've dealt with a few of them recently.
Exactly. So now, this is part of the issue. This is the nitty gritty that you don't see just from the front and back. So Rob wanted this tape gone. You know, he wants to have the book preserved. He doesn't want this tape causing long-term damage. And after looking at it, I was like, well, it's on the inside covers. You're already looking good. But if you look at the back cover there, what you might see around the daisy gun there, around kind of the butt end, you'll start to see tears there. And then you start to see, oh, why was that tape put on? This isn't preventative tape, unfortunately, as we've talked about before on the show. This is tape that's serving a purpose very much. So the bottom staple, well, the cover itself became detached, and then the tape is reattaching the cover and sealing tears that are predominantly on the back cover there. You'll see them a little bit more detailed, but part of this was a surgery, because the way the tears were, it was very easy to detach a piece of the cover if this wasn't done carefully. So this is what it looked like once I got the staples out, and you can see very much, there's no question about it, whoever did this removed the staples, put the tape on, and put the staples back in. That's the only way the tape can go cleanly over the entire staple area there.
Wow.
So you see some discoloration. Obviously, this isn't super white. You know, the newsprint interior has kind of started to affect the center portion of the covers here. You can see I'm getting a lot of discoloration and yellowing. But overall, this is pretty nice. I mean, structurally,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
totally. Yeah, stunning.
there's a bit of spine splitting, near the bottom staple, and a little bit of splitting at the top. But really, all the paper's there. It's just tears. So could be worse. Really not too bad. It's just
And was
how
that-
the
was
tape is
that-
put over the tears.
Was that a Golden Age Catwoman appearance I saw?
Yeah, there was a Golden Age Catwoman.
Oh,
I did. I should have noted that, but my jadedness kind of overlooked it for the origin. I see those things. I'm like, yeah, whatever. There's a Catwoman appearance, but it's like, I get it. That's on me. So, all right. So here we go. There's the book. This is one of those pictures that people that have never seen this before, if you really look at the specifics of what you're looking at, you're like, that cover is submerged in a liquid. So it's like,
Yes, it
scary.
is.
But if you've done this before, that's how you get this done efficiently. So I threw it in my solvent bath here to help loosen the adhesive from the tape. And the only thing I don't have, I wish I had taken some photos. I work on a lot of books. I don't always get to take super detailed pictures. So I just have the after here. So for the, before and after, that's what it looked like before. And then
Phil, in the tray, you have a cover on the tray. Is this a piece of glass? And what is the purpose of the cover?
yeah, good question. So that is just a piece of plexiglass that I just have over it just to minimize the off gassing from the solvents. So, I try to, I don't have a fume hood here. So when I'm working with solvents like this, I have my AC on, I have a window cracked, I'm getting ventilation in, but I also do that just because to me it seems kind of
prudent.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense not to do it. I mean, if you do this enough and you're not doing that, and then you're starting to smell this and you realize you shouldn't be smelling this should be done, so it's not the worst thing to be smelling, but if you're doing this quite a bit, you want to take precautions, really. So, but here, so this after really details and shows that splitting that was there near the bottom staple, the splitting near the top. It really, not to toot my own horn, but I was very happy with how this came off, especially because.
Oh, I think it looks great.
I mean,
if you zoom in, so it might be a little tough to see here because of where the tears are, but it was basically like a J tear there, where it was like a hook. So this is something that I've talked about a few times for moving tape too, but that's one of those things where you can't just scrape all in one direction. You have to kind of be working and moving the paper around carefully in order to not put excess stress where the tears already are, because the last thing you want to do is accidentally rip a piece of paper off, or it's easy to accentuate the tear too. Like it's already torn, it's very delicate already. And to that point too, and I mentioned this to Ralph when I dropped the book off with him, just full disclosure, when I was removing the adhesive from this, and this is just kind of a heads up for people that haven't done a lot of this, something that can happen. When I was removing and scraping the adhesive, oftentimes what I'll do is I get most of it off of this side, and then I'll throw some. Geez, forgive me, my brain is. It's the end of the day here. Some wow, why is my brain not working right now? Some release paper. So it's not going to stick, and then I'll throw a mat on the other side, flip it over, and then basically what I'm getting at is the adhesive kind of needs to be scraped from the other side of the cover too, because at the tear, it's not just on this side of the paper. It goes on the lip of where the tear is, which you can't always get from this side. You need to flip the paper over. So while I was flipping the paper over, my finger stuck to this bottom area, and there was a little bit of adhesive I hadn't got off. And thankfully, I've done this enough to know you don't make fast movements. So as I was turning it and my fingers stuck, my fingers started to pull the paper. So I knew enough. I immediately stopped, put my hand down, grabbed my solvent, got a Q-tip, dipped it, hit it on my finger to loosen the grip that it was attached to my finger and let the paper drop. If I didn't do that and I tried to manually pull my finger off without adding solvent, I easily would have detached a piece.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
If you've done this, you know, like your
Yeah.
fingers, you don't mean to do it. You're like, oh, I'm just about there. And then that happens. And all of a sudden, time starts going really slow. And then you're like, there's no room for error here. You've already done the procedure carefully. It just shows how volatile this is. You know, this procedure can be dangerous even if you have your guard up. So always be vigilant when you're removing tape. Always check twice, you know, that you've scraped all that adhesive off before you really start handling stuff.
Yeah, just because you got the carrier off doesn't mean the job is done till that adhesive is gone.
Exactly. So it's a little hard to tell here, but the paper at the top staple there actually is all there. It's just raised up and bent. a little bit.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
when Rob asked, "Hey, what do you think about the cover? Do you think you can reattach it?" And I said, "Rob, if the paper's there, I'll reattach this cover. That's what I do." So I told him the staple was popped at the bottom. There wasn't anything. There wasn't enough lip to hold on, but at the top there was. So I was able to carefully reattach the cover at the top staple. And
Oh,
there's
wow.
the photo. So this is a
Yeah,
before
that
after.
came out great.
You can see just how, I mean, from the outside, you're not seeing the tape, but you are seeing a significant cleaned appearance just from the byproduct of the solvent bath. I mean, look at the bath signal, look at the before and after. It's white now. It was off white
Yeah.
before. And then you start to notice the yellows around and you see that dinginess, that dirt is taken.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is the dinginess is gone, especially around where it says the origin of the Batman. You know, it's dingy. It's completely gone. It looks great.
It really does.
And then, so you can also see too, though, you're like, hey, there's still a little bit of interior paper showing on the bottom edge where you might not normally expect at the top edge. That's more standard. But part of that is just this was a weird production cut. And sometimes I see books like that and I wonder, am I not pushing this as far as I can? It's easy and it's best not to overdo it. So then I'll go and look at the archives and look at other copies to see, hey, are there other copies that kind of look like this?
Yeah,
Yeah,
as conservationists, we're not looking for perfection. We get it back to as close to original as possible. And like we talked about at the beginning, these Golden Age books are notorious. You know, especially this being a 52-page book, that is a lot of pages to go through, you know, to cut through and such. I mean, it's very, very common to see some peeking of the pages at the bottom and edges and such in these books. And yeah, you did a wonderful job of preserving that.
No, and you're also dealing with something that's almost 80 years old.
Yeah.
And that's
I think it's
we're conservationists, but really we're preservationists to keep these books, you know, alive.
I think it's remarkable how the image, the before image here, the entire color palette is just yellow shifted, right? Your eye, when you see it by itself, doesn't really pick it up in the same way that, you know, under Tung Leiden, you don't think everybody looks yellow. But when you see the after image here, it's very clear that the entire page is just kind of, even like the blue on the Batman's shoulders of the cowl there, look how yellow shifted it is, almost like it has a green kind of character to it in the before image, and it looks like a pure kind of blue in the after. So it's really kind of remarkable. This is a great side-by-side.
One of the, actually, one thing that you normally don't see, I'll just go back quick here. Look at the interior cover because you're getting the same effect. It's just not as seen. And the before and then after. And again, this is an incident light, so forgive that, but you can still see a very clear look at how discolored in yellow the whole center area of this is, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
here it's just
Yeah.
it's like night and day.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And look to it how the black inks are preserved here. For
Yeah.
those that may be concerned about a solvent bath like this, it's really remarkably safe for what you're accomplishing, especially.
Yeah, and I was about to point out the same thing, Paul, because we actually talk about it in our book that you can purchase on Amazon about these older tapes and the way in which the adhesive was made back then is one, Phil did an amazing job in not removing any of those black inks, it looks like, during his tape removal.
You can tell there was a little bit of
There's a
ink
little
loss
bit.
there.
Yeah.
It's also, if you see tape removed on the interior covers, especially on the Marvels, it's almost not even about ink loss. It's very easy to have the ink smear and congeal.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, that's
Part-
what I
part of
found.
that-
Yeah.
part of that is the attention to detail. I've been doing this long enough. I'll still be satisfied, and then I'll look and be like, why does that look off? And it's not. It's because oftentimes there's still a little bit of adhesive still stuck to it.
Yeah.
It's not just there for no reason. It's stuck in the areas where the color wasn't now because adhesive's holding it there in place. So so that also is another indicator of, hey, maybe I need to go back over this area. Like when I was looking at that area there, I was looking saying, if you see any black in the area where there shouldn't be ink, then you need to scrape that area. It's not just like, oh, that is fine being there. That's not. There should be it should be clean.
Right.
So it's very difficult sometimes, especially on Marvels, to get that all clean because you're towing the line. Like you can kind of only scrape so many times. The fibers are resilient to save scraping, but there's still, it's not, you can't do it forever. You'll eventually something, you'll cause a tear, you'll weaken the paper enough where you'll accidentally cause an abrasion, something like, so it's yeah.
So, and you're talking about exactly what I was going to point out is then these older tapes normally cause this staining. And, you need to understand when to stop, right? And Phil, I know you and I have had several conversations, and it was actually those conversations that led to some of the discussion in this book about minimal intervention and knowing when to stop, that you're not going to get perfection, and that these stains are now just part of the history of the book. And, maybe some crazy people out there might want to then start, I need to put peroxide on it, or I need to start bleaching it and not, try to get it to perfection. That is not what conservation is about. That is not what you should do for the preservation, as Larry said, of the book and its history. So well done, Phil.
Yeah, it looks great.
Absolutely.
And then, so this is the last. This is kind of a better indicator of the production cut issue that you
That's
kind of
so
see
good.
there.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, that back ad is still quite crooked. Less so with the spine roll removed, but
Looks great.
And I think this is even a great example of, you could have went in with Tengujo and done tear seals on that spine and reattached the bottom staple and all that stuff. But like Paul has said many times, with conservation and some of these practices, there's not a free lunch. You now have that opportunity. If you sent this in, you would get a blue label.
Exactly. So that's the conversation I have with a lot of people. Oftentimes it is there's a reality to, unless it's very sentimental, oftentimes the equity in the book is a priority. I mean, these books aren't $50. If it's once you get up, it's real money to a lot of people. If you have a book that's $1,000 or $2,000, as it is. So.
We've been talking more and more about blue label conservation, and that's something that a lot of people didn't realize was possible. And if you forgot in the last 5 minutes, we published a book, Shelby and I. But during that process, we spent a lot of time with Matt Nelson, and we talked to him about, what levels of conservation are allowed and even encouraged in Blue Label universal work. And so I think this is an area where there's not a lot of understanding. And as a community, we have the privilege and the obligation of educating people about it. Before we move on from this beautiful before, I'm not sure what you have next, Phil, but lots of kudos in the comments. Loston saying your skill level is one of the best he's seen. Top tier as always.
I agree.
Jason says, no doubt. AG says, great work. Loston also says an argument can be without the tape, this comic may not have survived to be
a necessary evil.
Yeah.
We hate to admit it, but yes, that is
and
true.
Then, lest anybody think he's pro tape, he just wanted to be on record. He does not like tape. Just pointing out that it may have saved this book.
Okay.
The professor says, beautiful work, Phil. And Loston's like, what? We published a book, did we? Wow.
One thing that I did that it kind of occurred to me when you mentioned we were talking to Matt Nelson is that I think it's interesting how perception changes over time. Even 15 years ago, cleaning and pressing, before I think more people saw things like tape removal, let alone the peroxide cleanings, right? That was still kind of new to a lot of people's perception. And I think at this point now, especially with like the blue light treatments and the peroxide cleanings and stuff, I think something like tape removal has almost kind of been grandfathered into the cleaning and pressing where more people understand it, I think, as before.
We're getting there.
There's still a little there's still some education to be put out there. And I know that firsthand because when I tell clients, and this is in Matt's book too. So he says first and foremost in there, tape removal is, and I don't want to say it's verbatim, but tape removal is universal work if done properly. So there's no skepticism. There's no like, well, it might be. It's as a matter of fact, tape removal, if done properly, is Blue Label universal work, which if you don't know, then your first question might be, wait, but if you're disassembling the book and reassembling it, so that means, and it's like, yeah, exactly. So then you start to get into the slight nuance of this kind of work where
absolutely.
I've had questions come up. In fact, I discussed it with Matt Nelson. Let's say then take this particular book. We don't want to put tape back in it, but archival tape, according to Matt Nelson, is acceptable for retaining a blue label. So I don't advocate for tape. I hate tape, but that would actually, if you were to do archival tape on this spine, you could actually reattach it and maintain a blue label, according to Matt, as I understand it.
Yeah.
So 3 things real quick. One is, speaking of Matt's book, and I don't have it near me, I did do a poll if anybody wanted to purchase that. I will be making those orders soon of getting those books of Matt's in stock. So if you want his grading guide, reach out to Paul or I, and I will be putting that order soon.
It is out of print, but
it is out of print.
He has a stash, and he told us to offer it to folks in our group.
That's right. So it's only to our group and special order only and all that. Second is we are going to be putting out another book planned later on, which talks about restoration removal. We're going to get into a lot of those nuances that Phil just talked about with tape removal. And then I might have forgotten my third one.
I love it because when you forget things like this, it breaks up the day, and you start over again.
Hey, in the interim, I'll just show a few more pictures of this book.
Oh,
so
nice.
Archival tape. So yes, archival tape Peter and I have researched the chemistry of archival tape, and the reason why it's archival is because it will not supposedly not stain, not deteriorate the book in some kind of negative way. However, it is not. You still need to use solvents such as Phil used here to remove archival tape.
It is
So
a
it's
bear
not-
to remove.
It's
So
tough.
it's not archival in the definition that we tend to use it, meaning us people here.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's archival in the sense of, it's not going to damage or stain or do those other things that normal adhesives would do. So that's why we advocate not to use it, is because the process of removing it could potentially damage your book. Go ahead.
Yes.
Phil.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I only advocate using archival tape if you have a book that's like a couple bucks. I really can't stress.
I agree
even
with
on
that.
higher on books, don't do it, because I would almost say short term, put regular Scotch tape. It's easier to remove. I mean, so to Shelby's point,
La 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 la.
archi-
It'll explode
to
now.
Shelby's point, archival tape, while being archival, wasn't created with the idea that it would be used on comic books, right? So great, the tape's archival. You're putting archival tape on thin newsprint paper, so you have to think about how it's coming off too. It's not just, I put it on there, it's archival, it's cool now. It's like, that's not, like, it's more complicated than that. I really heavily advise not. In fact, there's one or two people on eBay, a couple dealers that are known to sell books saying, small amount of tape on the cover, but what they're actually doing is reattaching covers with tiny little bits of archival tape. And I've had one or two of those come across me, and removing the tape causes damage, and it sucks, because if they didn't put the tape on there to begin with, it would have been fine. And it's worse than this, because at least with this kind of tape that might stain a little bit, I can safely remove it. I've always had trouble safely removing archival tape that's been on.
The amount of time it takes to remove archival tape is it's probably 5 times more than doing it this way.
Jason says, I just removed some archival tape on my last project, and it was way easier than removing normal tape. I mean, Jason, we got to go check that out. Go check out Jason's channel, by the way, The Archivist Edition.
Yeah, Jason did an amazing job on his last video.
Maybe we just need to send these jobs to him.
Yeah.
Lawson also says, completely seriously, no tongue in cheek, if he finds an early draft copy of the Constitution, he won't use archival tape. He'll go straight to Scotch.
Yeah, and I know some of these dealers that Phil is talking about up north, and what they do, is they do get a razor and they'll slice a thin piece of archival tape, and then when you put it in that spine, and then you have your wraps laying over it, it is almost imperceptible.
Yeah.
And so I know what they're doing. And I've never really brought up that subject because, it's.
Lawson, that was to protect the other Legionnaires from Lightning Lad.
Oh my God.
Yeah, well, that's another reason for using a handheld ultraviolet light, because archival tape is bright white under an ultraviolet. Even in that little crack in the spine, you're going to see it.
Yeah.
So
if you're really looking for it, but
Yeah,
But
I've
you should be
returned to.
looking Larry's point is you should be looking for it. If you're buying
you
other
should be
comics,
looking
you should be
for it.
looking for it.
100%.
Especially the amount of money we're paying for some of these books. You know,
Yeah.
I had a weird fantasy that the guy sold
Tell
to
us
me.
about your weird fantasy.
Weird Fantasy 21.
I'm sharing tonight. Why don't you?
A Frazetta cover, and I opened it up, and sure enough, it had color touch, archival tape. It had everything in it, and unfortunately, I had waited too long to return it because it was just in my work pile. And I pulled it open and looked at it, and it's still sitting there, and I don't know what to do with
There
it.
you go.
So,
Reasons to open your packages early, Jerry the Jitterbug, if you're watching.
yep,
Oh man.
yep.
Honestly, I will often just throw a camera on and open a package. And like, I used to wait because I wanted to create some content around it. But now I'm like, you know what? I can always do content later. I can do a voiceover. But I need to
Yeah.
get these things opened and inspected
Your raw
quickly,
videos.
because if you have problems,
Yep.
you got to deal with them. eBay has a 30-day window, but you got to deal with
Yeah.
them in a timely fashion.
Yeah, and even if the seller says returns not accepted, it's not true. eBay will kick in and take care. I'm dealing with one. Yeah, as you guys know, I'm collecting the Planet Comics run, and I got
Ooh.
one that was sent to me that was missing its center wrap. And I paid full
Good.
price for a book, for a complete
Ooh.
book, and missing that center wrap makes it worthless. And so I worked
Good
with a
luck
guy,
finding that,
and he's agreed to take it back, even though he said returns not accepted. So just work with your seller, and and like Paul said, and this time I did take pictures. I opened the package up. I started taking pictures of it to show it came out of that package. Opened it up. And sure enough, there it was. So it's all documented. I send, and he says, yeah, okay, send it back.
Yeah.
So
Well, longtime viewers of the channel know that I've done a lot of unboxings, and if you buy a lot of old comic books, it's not a matter of if, it's when you will find some of these defects that have not been disclosed. And I have lots of tips and tricks and guidance for dealing with that. I have a very good track record, mostly just giving people the benefit of the doubt and being cool, but also being firm about what they need to do. And occasionally they're jerks, and you've got to go to eBay or your credit card company or some other authority to force them to do the right thing. But generally, you can make that happen one way or the other.
Oh, the other
People
thing
are
is,
usually pretty open.
when you're dealing with these books, unless you're getting them from Heritage or somebody's already really inspected them, you pick it on eBay. It's a high dollar book. I mean, we're talking like, say, in the thousands, and it's not been graded. Odds are it may have been graded and removed from the slab, or something has been done to it. So, a word of caution. Most of these books, it's safer to see that they've been graded. They have a blue label, things like that. I'll take a book and I'll deslab it and work on it, and then send it back in for reslabbing. And we've all done that. But just a word of caution when you're looking at these high dollar books that haven't been graded before.
Absolutely.
So
Lots of good comments in the chat, but Collecting Chaos says, before he lists a comic for eBay, I presume, make sure everything is there and list it 1/2 to a full grade lower than what he believes it is. I mean, that's really great.
That's common practice, actually.
I mean, that's best practice. I don't know if it's common practice. It's common practice among the best sellers, but there's a lot of
maybe unless
a lot of sellers on
Metropolis or
eBay.
something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I've seen some stuff that goes, oh yeah, it's a 7. I'm looking at it. No, it's clearly a 3.
It's an 8, but it's got this major defective binder holes through the entire book. And you're like, that's crazy. That's not an 8 then. It's weird how you
cover attached.
Coverless, comma, complete. My favorite.
Oh, that's your favorite, Dr. Paul.
That's my favorite. Or photocopy of a cover. Yeah.
Hey, just to wrap up this book here, isn't that just a nice instant photo, showing that the nice gloss, and after it was pressed, it's looking pretty, and then in the bag, and this time it wasn't going to grading, it was just going back to the client raw. So man, I love those back in the bag, back to the client photos.
Oh yeah, great job. Thanks for sharing that. That's beautiful.
Phil, that's fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of grading, did you get your grade back on the FF from last week? No?
No, I did.
Oh, you did, but you're not happy. Okay.
We
So unfortunately,
we
we don't talk about that right now. It's okay.
Okay.
Let's focus on this really sweet book here. Hey. No, hey, full disclosure, Shelby. I'll put it out there. That FF one I showed last week, it was a 3.0 with tape, and I removed the tape. It seemed like there was a consensus here that, hey, the book looked like at least maybe a 4, but a 3.5 conservatively.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, CGC, they thought that the book was a 3.0. So the book was a 3.0 before and a 3.0 after. So normally I accept things the way they are, but in that case, I actually think it's well within a reasonable level of talking to Matt Nelson to see if there's a possibility that there can be a marker of books that have been previously graded and had work done like that, so CGC can take that into account when regrading it. I don't think that's out of the realm of a reasonable possibility. Especially since CGC likes to stand by their own grading, and it is admittedly a little odd if a book is a 3.0 with the tape and a 3.0 after without the tape, I think.
Well, and you and I had a longish conversation about why it got a 3.0. We felt like that the main defect that brought it down to that grade was the tape. So obviously they saw other defects that they felt brought it down. But I think
part of it is just they've gone through periods of looser and tighter grading, and for whatever reason, at this moment right now, I've noticed a trend of, for whatever reason, a lot of books that I've had that I've done work on, and I'm expecting a book to come back a 2.5 or a 3, and it's coming back a 2. Or I'm expecting it to come back a 4 and it's coming back a 3. But then more curiously, I'm seeing many books that I see that are 9.8s that look like 9.4s. So that's a huge, and that said, I'm not trying to throw CGC under the bus. All of the other ones that I'm working on,
Phil doesn't throw
right
shade.
On par. It is right on par. It's just I can't not notice the things on the extremes, and I stand by the quality of my work, so it's always odd. It's an awkward conversation I have to have with clients when we can see a noticeable improvement on the book, but the technical grade stays the same, and that is something that is understandable.
I think most collectors are happy with that, though. I mean, the eye appeal matters. It's by the book, not the grade. But you like to see that reflected in the grade for sure. Welcome, Mastodon Comics and Music.
That is ultimately and I try to detail this as much as I can to clients when I do work on bigger books like that. And really, I mean, really any book, it's mitigating risk. So they're well aware that there's a chance the grade can stay the same. It's just up to me to kind of try to say, hey, this is the chance I think. So especially now, I'm definitely going to be a bit more conservative. But as Paul, as you said too, a lot of the people are buying the book, not the grade. So that book, even though it's a 3 again without the tape, has more eye appeal to it.
It has.
It's a subjective. How much increase in value do you get from the cost of work and grading? And I would say at the very least you're going to break even. So it's not a loss. It's just not an ideal bump. So it's the risk.
Well, and it has higher resale value, right? People are going to be more prone to buy 3.0 without tape than a 3.0 with tape. I mean, so
exactly,
you could get a faster return on your money. So that's also a win. But I agree with you. I think it's a conversation to have.
Well, one of the other things, that you mentioned briefly, but I'll elaborate on, is that CGC grading standards are shifting. They're shifting all the time, and part of that is them setting the standard, and part of that is them reflecting the community back. Right? I think the community has gotten tougher.
Oh, they're watching me.
Absolutely. I'm saying I think,
so,
but it's
so just to be clear, as someone who oh, Phil, that was an injustice. I'm saying this to other people that experience injustices. I won't put that like an actual injustice. CGC is not watching anyone. They deal with so many books. It's not personal. It just
They can't.
The way it is. I don't take it personal, and
No,
and
we're
you shouldn't either. If you're watching this and you did work and you're like, it should come back this great, and you're in despair like I am.
Well, the other thing is that it's like it was mentioned in the comments. There's different levels of graders. The books we're dealing with, the minimum experience level is 10 years of grading for somebody looking at these type of books that we're all using. But the newer graders, they're cutting their teeth on modern books. So,
yeah.
Cool.
So if you haven't already, I muted myself because I just turned on the show over there on Paul's channel, and I gave it a thumbs up. So please go give
give a thumbs up on everybody's channel. We're simulcasting on my channel and Shelby's channel. And Phil doesn't have a channel, but yeah.
That's right. 28 people watching and only 16 thumbs up. That means we need a few more thumbs.
Guys, we're failing.
We got freeloaders. We got people watching that haven't thumbs up.
No, we appreciate
free lunch here.
Watching.
Everyone that watches live or on a later recap. We can't do this without you because we're just a couple of guys talking about comics and having fun, and we would do this without you. But
that's true.
It would be a little sad if there was like 5 people viewing each video. So if you could give a thumbs up to this one so it gets out there in the algorithm, we appreciate it. And even if you don't, hell, we appreciate you tuning in and watching us for a minute or the whole segment.
Absolutely. Everybody that knows me knows that gratitude is a big, important thing in my life. I have so much gratitude for you three and for all of the viewers, everyone who supports us, and for all of the dads out there too. We should we should give another quick thanks to the sponsors of this show. Salesboy Comics, who says keep it moist. You pluck my last nerve, collecting comics, collecting chaos. And of course, our super chatters for this episode, Robbie Josephs, Don Carter. Thank you so much. They'll be sponsoring next episode. And it looks like we have Billy Pilgrim just joining the show here, maybe lurking throughout the entire episode. But thanks for saying hi.
Oh,
and
nice.
I don't know if anybody wants to say anything else tonight, but I want to say thank you for joining us. And until next time, take care of one another.
See you later, everybody.